What's up YouTube? I'm here to do my prediction video for UFC Fight Night Anderson versus Bisping. Let's start at the bottom. The first fight is David Tyner versus Marvin Svensson. These guys were both on the Ultimate Fighter, the last one. David Tyner, he was that Swedish kickboxer dude. I think he looks really good. I think he looks like he's got really strong wrestling, and obviously he's a phenomenal kickboxer. Marvin Svensson, to me, he's kind of just a jiu-jitsu guy, and I don't think he's a great jiu-jitsu guy because he's having a hard time beating that one guy who was basically just a kickboxer and nothing else, and I felt like he's having a hard time beating that guy. There's no way he's going to beat David, who looked like he had really strong wrestling and strong kickboxing, so I'm going to pick David to win by knockout. Next is Teemu Packalén versus Thalbut Gutai. Some weird French dude, but Gutai looks actually pretty decent. He's undefeated. He looks like a really solid French prospect. And I'm going to pick Gutai. I feel like these guys are both kind of jiu-jitsu guys with some striking, but Gutai just looks like he's a little bit better everywhere. But more or less, these guys fight about the same. Next is Daniel Omelechek versus Jarges Dano, and Jarges looks like he's a decent striker, and you know, Omelechek is also a good striker. I just feel like Omelechek has the UFC experience already under his belt, and that's going to be the huge difference. He also has more fight experience in general. I think he's got like 25-something fights. And Dano only has like 5 wins. They're all by knockout, but you know what I mean? I just feel like the UFC experience and the overall fight experience is going to give Omelechek the edge, and I say he probably wins by either decision or late TKO. Next is Norman Park versus Rustam Khabilov, and these two guys are basically the exact same. They're good wrestlers with some submissions, and they're technical strikers, but they're not great strikers. I'm going to give Khabilov the win in this one. I just feel like his wrestling is better than Park's. I don't think this fight's going to be very exciting. I think this is going to be a really boring grind. It's going to be... The most important thing is going to be the conditioning, and I think Khabilov should have decent conditioning. So, you know what I mean? I just think if he's smart, he'll use his wrestling to just kind of score points and probably win 29-28 decision. Next is Brad Scott versus Krzysztof Jotko, and I'm going to pick Brad Scott. I think he's kind of... It's weird. I feel like he kind of breaks people with his pressure. He kind of is like a middleweight version of Forrest Griffin, where he's got good striking, good jiu-jitsu, and some wrestling. I feel like Krzysztof Jotko, he's a really good striker, but he's got like no finishing power. I think most of his wins are by decision, and I just feel like Brad Scott is a finisher. He finds ways to win even when he's hurt, and I feel like that's going to happen. I feel like he's going to find a way to get this fight either dirty box with him or get to the ground and win by submission. So I'm going to pick Brad Scott by finish. Next is Arnold Allen versus Yatin Meza, and Yatin Meza is really weird because I don't think he's not really good anywhere, but he's not bad anywhere. Arnold Allen looks like a really solid prospect. So I'm going to go with Allen, but, you know, Yatin Meza's beaten a lot of these up-and-comers because I think of his overall experience and his UFC experience. So this fight could be really close, but I'm going to pick Allen. I just think he looks like a really solid prospect to me. Next is Scott Askren versus Chris Dempsey, and I'm going to pick Scott Askren. I just feel like he's a significantly better striker than Chris Dempsey, and I feel like he'll be able to stuff the takedowns that Chris Dempsey is going to throw his way. And yeah, this fight looks like it'll be pretty one-sided. I'll pick Askren to win by knockout, probably in the first round. Next is Davey Grant versus Marlon Vera. Both these guys are on the Ultimate Fighters. Marlon Vera was on the Ultimate Fighter South America versus Brazil, and Davey Grant was on that first Ultimate Fighter with the women. Davey Grant came in second. He lost to that guy from Team Alpha Male. Neither of these guys have fought in forever. That's why I can't remember their names. They haven't fought in like a year or two. Davey Grant, to me, looked really solid. He just hasn't fought in forever. I think he's been injured, and so has is it Chris Holdsworth? I think it's Chris Holdsworth. Neither of these guys, the guys from that season, just haven't fought in forever. I don't know why. Like I said, probably injuries. Marlon Vera looks like a decent jiu-jitsu guy, but that's it. I feel like Davey Grant's got solid jiu-jitsu as well and much better striking. And like I said, I'm glad to see him back. I think he looked really phenomenal on the Ultimate Fighter, so I'm going to say he wins by knockout. That Davey Grant to win by knockout. Next is Mike Wilkinson versus Makwan Armanov. And I would pick Makwan. I just feel like Mike Wilkinson, he's a good striker, but that's about it. I feel like his jiu-jitsu isn't great, and even his striking isn't that great. I felt like the fight that he won against Nicholas Blackstorm, he was getting lit up that whole fight before he just landed that big overhand right. I don't think I feel like he's a good striker, but that's about it. I don't think he has a super diverse game, and I feel like Makwan will be able to get this fight to the ground and probably win by submission. Next is a fight that I'm really looking forward to, Francisco Rivera versus Brad Pickett. And these two guys, in my opinion, are in the exact same spot in their career where they're kind of at that, like, just barely in the top 15 trying to stay relevant. I think that Brad Pickett's more well-rounded. And I think if you look at his last fight, even though he lost, I think he was winning up until he got caught with that flying knee against the Brazilian dude who's really good at 135 right now. I can't, for some reason, Thomas Almeida. You know, I thought he was winning. I think he dropped Almeida twice, and Almeida dropped him once in that first round, but he was landing a crap load of body shots on him. And then the second round, Almeida just ran out and threw that flying knee. But like I said, Brad Pickett still looks like he's still got something left to offer. And I'm not saying Francisco doesn't, but I feel like Francisco's just a boxer, as where Pickett's kind of got wrestling and jiu-jitsu, so I just feel like he's got way more ways to win this fight. And in future fights, you know, I think Pickett's more of a threat to guys in the top 15 than Rivera is. So I'm going to pick Pickett. I say he wins by rear naked choke or something like that. Next is Tom Breeze versus Kenta Nakamura. And I feel like this fight's going to be like Kenta Nakamura's last fight, where people are counting him out for no reason. This dude's got like 40 fights. I think he's only been finished like once. And you know, he looked really good in his last fight, and I think he knows a lot of different tricks that Tom Breeze doesn't. I think he's got great striking and great jiu-jitsu. I'm not saying Tom Breeze is bad. I think he's a solid prospect. I just think he's getting overhyped a little bit. I think Kenta Nakamura, his experience overall, and the fact that he has no holes in his game, just like Tom Breeze, but, you know, like I said, his overall experience will be the big difference. I think after the first round, Kenta Nakamura will start to do different things and eventually catch Tom Breeze. Or maybe he'll just grind out a decision. But either way, I got Kenta Nakamura. Next is Gegard Mousasi versus Thales Leites. And if this fight was 5 rounds, I would pick Mousasi. But because it's only 3, it's really hard for me to pick against Thales. I feel like we've already seen Gegard has a hard time stuffing like jiu-jitsu style fighters when they try to take him down. It's weird because when he stuffs wrestlers, he has no problem. But when jiu-jitsu guys do that jiu-jitsu style takedowns, he has a really hard time with it. I feel like Chakra was able to control him throughout that whole fight, and you know, his improved striking was able to give him good striking defense and then just beat him up a little bit, get takedowns. And I feel like Thales Leites will be able to do the same thing. I think Thales Leites will just throw boxing when he needs to and then hit takedowns and just grind out a 30-27 decision win. Which is unfortunate because I love Gegard, but I mean, it's just hard for me to see this fight going any other way than rinse and repeat. Boxing takedowns. So I got Thales Leites to win by 30-27 decision. And finally, we got Anderson Silva versus Michael Bisping. This fight is tough just because I don't know where Anderson Silva's at in his career. Obviously, if this fight happened like 2 years ago, there would be no fucking way Bisping would ever win this fight. And in my opinion, I still don't think there's any way he fucking wins this fight. I've always thought Bisping was shit. I think that he's not that great of a grappler. Tim Kennedy out-grappled him. He's not that great of a striker. I think almost every one of the strikers he's fought has knocked him out. Like I said, I think he's been out-grappled by guys like Chael and Tim Kennedy, and he's been outstruck by great strikers. I think the only thing he has that gives him a super advantage over other people is his conditioning, but he doesn't use it well. He doesn't, you know, he just uses it to throw a lot of strikes, but he doesn't, you know, put a lot of pressure on people. He uses a lot of movement, and to me, I just feel like the way he fights is really inefficient for his strengths. If I was him, personally, I would forward pressure people all the time, shoot for takedowns, and even if you don't get him, he's got this thing where his heart rate is super crazy because he has such phenomenal conditioning. I don't know why he doesn't use that to his advantage. I don't know why he doesn't shoot for way more takedowns and just press people up against the fence and beat them up. I feel like he just likes to kickbox and do that really technical shit where he does the circle crap like Dominic Cruz, but he's not great at it, so he always gets knocked out. So I don't see anything different. I think Anderson Silva will eventually land a counter shot and win by knockout. Probably in the second or third round because he's a little bit of a slow starter. But either way, I say Anderson Silva wins by knockout. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe.